Hey, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at feedback, the feedback activity in Moodle. Feedback activity is actually really cool. It's basically like kind of like Google Forms, but with a little extra. So here we go. We're going to just go here and add a feed. So add feedback. And so feedback is basically a survey. So if we click make it, this one will try to make slightly fast this and this part here. I got to wait for everything to load up. I don't have to type anything in here, but I will. Okay, so again, same idea as before. We can have availability, question submission settings. This is particular to feedback. You can have it either anonymous or collect their names. Now understand that you will always be able to see their name in the logs. And so you might be able to figure out whose it is, but anonymous is pretty much anonymous. You can allow multiple submissions. You can enable notifications upon submission. So when somebody does the feedback form, you can read it right away, which is a little bit better. Google Forms does this as well, but this is kind of a nice feature. Auto number questions, so it'll just automatically number them. After submission, you can put a message if you want to. If you want, you can show them the answers and so on and so forth, because there is an analysis page. And then we got the typical things down here, the common module settings, the restrict access, the activity completion, and we do all that. We've talked about that over and over again. Nothing has really changed there. So if we click save and display, this is what you get. Okay, now, so this is the overview, and then we have the questions and templates. This is what happens afterwards, and then you can see the responses. So when it says edit questions, this is where you would add questions. And so I don't know if my menus show up. I don't think they do when I click this. So I'm going to read this pretty slow. Your choice of questions are: you can have a page break, you can have a CAPTCHA, which makes sure that it's not a robot doing the feedback. You can have an information question. You can have a label, which is basically just text to break up things or organize things. You can have a longer text answer, a multiple choice answer, a multiple choice with rated, which has like the numbers for Likert scaling. And you have numeric answers, and you have short answer text. When you are done, you can actually make a template and name it. That naming, then you could pull that up somewhere else in quizzes in a different class if you want to. So if you wanted to make a class feedback form at the quarter, you could write first quarter feedback form, and then you would be able to come in and pick a template. Because if we go over to template, you can save it as a template, and you could sit there and go, okay, import questions, or use a template, and you can pull it right in. Analysis is just like Google Forms. It shows you the responses in grid form. The cool part about this is it will download it into Excel, so which you could make into a Google Sheet if you wanted to, just like Google Forms does. Show responses, so you can look at the individual responses. If we want to look at one of the questions real fast, the page break one is interesting, because what the page break allows, because it's here, is that if you can have questions, like let's say you have a yes/no question, and if they answer yes, you want them to answer more questions. You can actually have that happen, so that if you say, "Do you have a car?" If the answer is yes, then they will get a couple other questions to answer, like what's the make and model, for like a new student type thing. If you wanted to do that, that's the idea, and then they could go back on the normal question route of the normal form. So you can have multiple pages in the form to have students be answering multiple different things. It's basically, again, it's Google Forms so that you can listen and hear what your students are saying about your class, or whatever you want to know what they think about. Okay, so if we just go to short answer text, basically I'll just do one so you can see it. Here's the question. We can say, is it required or not? We can say, what is your favorite cartoon? You can put a label on it. This label thing is important for if you're going to have an answer from the question, go to more questions or specific questions about that answer. You can make it, this is something you're going to have to play around with on how wide it can be. You can have a max number of characters, and you can put it in position number 1. So this is question number 1, and we put save question. Okay. Then we can do the next one and say, let's say that's a numeric answer. What is 68 plus 2? And again, you could label it and you could say, well, that's going to be, we know that's going to be 70. So it's going to be 70 to 70. They can't mess this one up like that. And this will be question number 2. And is it required? Yes. Okay. And if you see here, it says edit question, set is not required. So you can do some different things right from here if you want to. We can add a choice rated of how much do you like balloons? And then that we could label it if we want to. Adjustment is vertical. We could do horizontal if we want, multiple choice type, single answer, or you could do multiple choice, single answer allowed that way, however you want to do it. And hide the not selected option. We'll just leave it and see what happens. Do not analyze empty submits. And you could say yes if you wanted to, like if you do this. Okay. And then we'll put in our answers. Very much like. I like them. Not very much. I do not like them. I really don't like them. And then we go like this. So now you can see that that's what's going on in terms of how to make questions. There's other things you can do. If you want to look at the overview, it would just say there's 3 questions. Okay. When a student comes in, then let's say I save it and I go back to here just to show you real fast because I'm way past my 5. Is I go to switch roles as a student and I just click and go down like that. So now what they have is answer the questions, and if you click on answer the questions, here's my answer, here's my answer. Oh, and I have to put in, I'll have to put in numbers there. So you can put not selected. So there's a learning curve there, but you could always go in and make that change. Okay. The other questions, if you have any questions, just always ask, or you can always look it up in Moodle Docs. Okay, thanks. That's feedback. Again, Google Forms.